The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-host and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on our live shows.
Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of This Week in Guns is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network and Patriot Patch Company.
And this show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Sean Herron, and it's always my pleasure to introduce our guests. But tonight, it's especially sweet for me. I got my boys. First up, we got Chief Leadhead and host of Talking Lead, Lefty. What's shaking?
Word.
Glad to have you.
Word.
And then his hetero life mate, former co-host of Talking Lead, Master of Arms, and Technology Chair at SDI, Zeke Stout in the house. What up?
Paragraph, because it's better than word.
Nice.
This is a technology chair. Is that a smart chair?
I know. I'm not even there yet. Like I think my title should just be former.
I was like, sorry.
It'll cover all the bases.
Like the former artist?
Yes. The artist formerly known as having a job.
I still host Projectile Dysfunction, which makes absolutely no money, so it's technically not a job.
Good stuff. Well,
you work at it.
Yes. We'll get right into it. Colorado students refused to let themselves be used as pawns in a vigil turned anti-gun rally. This happened in Colorado, actually. This happened up just a little bit north of me, and it was the Sims. Two people went in. Oh, cool. Live video. Two people went in, and
we've got you flustered, don't we, Sean?
No, I'm good. I'm fine.
Okay.
Took some shots, and students basically attacked them, tackled them, took them out. And then the students were having a vigil to just kind of have a remembrance about the one student who died. Kendrick was his name, Kendrick Castillo, and he died by lunging at the killer. And he wasn't going to just sit there and take it. He was going to try to make a difference, and he lost his life because of it, but probably saved countless other lives.
Now, I understand in this one, there was more than one person that confronted the shooters, and one of them was getting ready to go sign up for the Marines, right?
Yeah. Brendan Bialy Brian Bialy was his name. And there was multiple people that went. And not just that, but I've mentioned this on the show before, but the previous week at UNCC, so in North Carolina, Riley Howell was the name of the person who said, nope, not going to sit here and be a victim. I'm going to at least do something, and he lost his life for it. But I think that when we start seeing this, it's going to be a good.
And he was ROTC.
Yeah. So good. I mean, I'm glad that people are fighting back. We can't be lambs. We have to fight back. Now, they were having this candlelight vigil just to kind of, be together, and the students, and anti-gun group tried to take it over, and they had some politicians there that were talking about, gun control and all kinds of other things. And a lot of students actually walked out. They said, we are people. We are not a statement. We're not here to be used for anti-gun control. This is not what we wanted. You guys are trying to take this over. And as such, a bunch of students walked out, and I thought it was good. Then the anti-gun group actually apologized and said, they issued. Brady has always been and always will be supportive of individuals and communities who have experienced the horrors of gun violence. They said in a statement, we're deeply sorry for any part of this vigil that did not provide the support, caring, and sense of community. But whatever, even kids are seeing through this gun control rhetoric that Brady's trying to do. Zeke, I'll start off with you, man. What do you think of all this?
Anytime a tragedy happens and people immediately start making political statements, I think it's disgusting on both sides. Yeah, and my dog does too.
He seconds the motion.
It's one of those things where when I was at the school, there was a few different shootings that happened there, and people would come to me and they'd be like, "Okay, what do we need to post?" And I said, nothing at all. And I'm not saying don't recognize it, don't realize that there's an issue we need to figure out with mental health in our country, but don't post about it. Let the people mourn. Let the people sit back and realize that they had loved ones that they lost and that they're not going to see them anymore, because that's not easy for people to deal with. And when people start using that as a platform, whether it's on the pro-gun side or the anti-gun side or any other political platform, mental health, anything, immediately after it happens, it's disgusting. And it's Anthony Jeselnik said it the best. I don't know if y'all have seen that Thoughts and Prayers stand-up routine.
I have, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like people start, thoughts and prayers. And it's more about, look at me, instead of, damn, that sucks. I wish the best for people. Of course, he said it a lot more funny than I just did, but
right.
Get the gist.
Yeah. 100%. Lefty, what do you think?
So obviously it's horrible. Why does everybody got to start off saying that we know that,
True.
We talked about this on the previous episode of Talking Lead. These were a couple of our jack wagons. We started a new section that's the opposite of the jack wagons, which we haven't named yet. We've got a contest going for our listeners to come up with a name for, the opposite of a jack wagon. And we were actually honoring the two gentlemen that you talked about for that nomination to kick off that new segment, new designation of the show. That's what I think we need to focus on. We don't need to focus on the shooters as far as what we're concerned. I mean, yes, behind the scenes, there needs to be some things done. Like Zeke was saying, mental health is a big part of this. Bullying is a big part of this in schools, pushing kids that don't fit in to extreme limits. The two kids that were in that, where was it with the Marine guy and
was that the Stems and
Kendrick?
Colorado?
The Kendrick kid.
Kendrick Castillo and Brian Bialy.
I mean, if you look at those two shooters, they were definitely outcast. They didn't fit in. They didn't belong. They were struggling with some self-identity issues. And the signs were there. Signs were there for both of these shootings, like they have been for countless of these mass murders that have happened in the schools and other places. People were warning. They were calling these people out way before it happened. Bringing attention to something like this is going to happen, and people just ignored it and let it go, and you see what happens. So, as far as we're concerned in the gun community and these shows, I think we need to push and promote these heroes that are standing up and saying enough is enough. We're not going to take this crap anymore. And of course, these people were unarmed. They were unarmed citizens. So the bravery for them to stand up and just rush their bodies into harm's way like they did is something that none of us will ever have to face that decision to do. Whether I would do this or whether I wouldn't do this, something we're never going to have to face. But I think that the programs that they're talking about with the training, training the teachers, training the students for situations like this is critical. And they don't need to try to ignore it or avoid it. So there's still a lot that needs to be done, and us working with the mental health industry. Mike Sodini with Walk the Talk America, the organization that he set up to bridge the gap between the mental health industry and the firearms industry, I think is a great first step with that.
Definitely. And to the, not just the anti-gun gun control groups that want to use it immediately for political purpose, but even the people on our side that want to use it immediately for political purpose, just stop. It's gross. And I'm so happy that the kids are realizing that. I'm going to skip way ahead and pick another story because I thought it's directly related, but the headline is Unrepentant School Murderer Insists Court Use the Preferred Pronoun when addressing her. So one of the students was I guess, transgender.
It's a female who wants to identify as a male.
Yeah. And they say there is an advocate that, what is the thing that she's called? She is a disability justice advocate, said that they should not dead name the suspect. In a tweet, she said, "Dear every reporter writing about the STEM shooting, Colorado shooting, there is zero reason to publish a trans person's dead name, especially a minor's dead name. This dude is a murderous a-hole. Neither being trans nor having psych disabilities made him an a-hole." And I'm gonna say this, like, look, man, if you want to identify as an attack helicopter, a man, a woman, like, that's your business.
Yes.
I'll do it. I was like, look, that's your business. Whatever you want to do, like as long as it doesn't affect me or cost me money, I don't really care. But the second you go in and you try to commit murder or you commit a crime or something like that, I don't really care. Like whatever you were born with is what I think you should be called. And I don't have any respect for you as a human being at this point, being in this position, and going into a school and trying to murder your classmates with firearms. Yeah, I don't care. I don't even see you as a person, so there's no way I'm going to recognize something that you made up. Again, if they're out in public, if they're living a normal life and they're obeying laws and doing their thing, they can do whatever they want.
So that's who they confirmed. That's who committed the shooting.
One of
them,
two of them.
Okay, because see, I quit watching the news because I want to be happy. Yeah, there's no benefit to me to sit there and watch the local news and see how many rapes and drug deals and murders and shootings and everything else. It just depresses me. And if you get sad and depressed, you stay at home. If you stay at home, you watch more TV. If you watch more TV, you see more commercials. You see more commercials. You buy more. Wait, can I say that on this show?
Nope.
Stuff.
You need to start streaming, get Netflix and Hulu and
stuff. I do.
Have commercials.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at now.
Well,
I had to watch real TV for one season.
Yeah, exactly. You had to. It was without question. So that's the thing. Like, look,
but those were good commercials.
Yes.
Once they go to try to commit murder or do commit murder, I don't really care what they want. They don't get it. That's my thoughts on this. And I don't know, man.
Well, they're not helping their case for whatever they're trying to convey, suffering that they're going through. It's counterproductive.
Yeah. And also we haven't heard a lot, Zeke, sorry to cut you off. We haven't heard a lot about any of this. This story has died very, very, very quickly. And I think it's because it doesn't fit the mainstream media's narrative that they're
both of those stories with,
UNCC
Riley and Kendrick.
Because especially the one in Colorado, because they're one of the perpetrators was anti-Christian, anti-Trump. They used pistols. Like it doesn't fit the narrative, and it has died a very, very quick life cycle as a story. Zeke, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, I was just gonna say identify as whatever the heck you want, but like you said, once you commit a crime or you commit a murder, you're just a dirtbag.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a trans, if you're gay, if you're lesbian, if you're whatever. If you've committed murder like that, you're just a dirtbag.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And this is going to be sad because this whole story with that shooting is going to turn out to be an identity story. It's going to be all about that person's, how they were crucified or chastised because how they wanted to identify. And that's how the media is going to take it. You watch.
I already saw an article somewhere. I don't recall exactly where, nor would I give them the airtime, but they said that this individual shouldn't even be charged with murder because of the struggle they go through as a trans individual in the United States. And I was like, okay, yeah. Anyway, enough about them.
Yes.
Again, Kendrick Castillo.
Them as specify them as in the people who committed murder. Them not as the trans
the murderers.
Yeah, that's right. The murderers. I don't care about anything else. In another school thing, Florida governor expands the armed teacher program, and this is definitely an interesting one. So after Parkland, they put a lot of stuff into effect, and now Governor DeSantis has signed another bill that immediately implements recommendations from a commission formed after a mass shooting, clearly at Parkland. Signed the bill in private, didn't issue a statement afterwards, totally said publicly that he supported it. Now he's signed it. And what that does, it was really contentious apparently in the legislative session, and it expands the Guardian program that allows school districts to approve school employees and teachers with a role outside the classroom, such as a coach, to carry guns. School districts have to approve and teachers have to volunteer. Then they go through like 100 and some hours of police-like training with the sheriff's office and undergo a psychiatric evaluation and a background check. Like, sure, whatever. Okay. I think if they can qualify for a concealed carry license, and I actually steal this directly from Rob Pincus, if they qualify for a concealed carry permit, then they should be able to carry the permit at the school. Whatever is good enough for everyday citizens should probably be good enough for that. And I kind of agree with him there. Also, at the end of this, clearly March for Our Lives is upset. Clearly that David Hogg kid is mad, said that it's up to residents to convince their local school boards to opt out. So I don't know exactly what he thinks is going to happen, but his quote is, "We need the parents and students to show up at the school board meetings and say, this is not okay. This does not make us safer, and we're not comfortable with this. And if you choose to vote for this, we'll not be voting for you come the next school board election." So, wants to perpetuate that role of victims. And, he's probably mad at Kendra Castillo and Riley Howell and Brian Bialy for going after and saying, nope, not going to take this sitting down and actually trying to make a difference. Marty, what are your thoughts?
I mean, what do you want me to comment on? I think Florida. I'm all for teachers carrying. As far as the training goes, again, if they've got a permit and they're legal to carry, I think they should carry. I think there needs to be some sort of and Zeke and I experienced this firsthand. When we've got our carry permits, we thought we knew everything that we needed to know, but until we actually took a defensive handgun course, we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into and how dead we would be, and other people that didn't need to be dead would be dead if shit went down. And I think it's imperative not only for teachers, but also just for anyone who's going to take on that huge responsibility of carrying a firearm, is you need to get proper defensive handgun training. You need to take courses outside of just your permit courses, because they don't teach you jack there. So
true. Zeke?
I want to go back to the comment you said that David Hogg said, that this will not make us safer. So let me turn off being a gun guy real quick, and I'm going to turn on being just the gray person. I'm straddling the fence, and I see a shooting that happened in the school. And I'm going to say, okay, what would have happened if there were no teachers carrying there? And what would have happened if there were some teachers carrying there? How on God's green earth can someone go, oh, that wouldn't make us safer? Even if it saved 5 more lives, if it saved 1 more life.
But even before that,
it make you safer.
But before that, just the fact that they knew that someone was going to be there armed to show them resistance is a deterrent. Is a deterrent in and of itself, and could have prevented the entire mass murder.
Yeah,
in all of these situations.
If somebody wants to do something like that, there is a reason it always happens in gun-free zones. And I know that we say that so much, it's starting to turn into the only person that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. But it's true. It's so true that it is becoming a cliche. I mean, most cliches are cliches because they're said so much because there's
a pinch of truth there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's sad that we have to keep saying it to remind people too, because they don't get it. They're not making the correlation, or they don't want to make the correlation.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I don't care, nor have I ever cared about David Hogg's opinion. Look, I raised 4 kids, and honestly, I'm surprised that they didn't just die from stupidity when they were teenagers. Sorry, that's just, now they're outstanding adults, outstanding. But as teenagers, morons. I'm sorry. That's the truth of the matter. That's they didn't think or have any critical thinking skills, even though we worked on it. And now, again, as adults, they are amazing in every way. But sorry, I don't care about David Hogg's opinion. I respect his emotion. I respect his experience when he rode back to the school on his bicycle after it happened. But yeah, I don't respect his opinion on public policy nor anything else. I've raised 4 kids. I understand the deficiency that you have as that person. And I remember being that person. I remember thinking that I knew everything and truly knowing nothing.
So question for y'all.
Yeah.
David Hogg was supposedly a senior, right?
I don't know. I literally.
Let's just assume.
Okay.
You're a 17-year-old kid. You make a couple of public comments. And then all of a sudden somebody says, hey, look, I'm going to throw a lot of money at you to make public appearances and do all this talking. I mean, it's not like he sat around in his bedroom dreaming one day of being a figurehead for the anti-gun movement.
He wasn't doing this prior to.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? I think we lost Zeke.
No.
Yeah. We're here.
Yeah. So, you got to look at his motivations. What's motivated him?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't doing it prior to.
When I was a 17-year-old kid, If you even mentioned politics to me, I'd be like, give me a basketball.
Yes. Well, same.
Like, oh, hated it. Still
yeah.
hate it.
Enough about him. Takedown M4 is now part of the Air Force's flight gear. This is actually pretty dang cool. United States Air Force fighter pilots now flying with converted M4 rifles in their survival kits. It's basically a takedown, and the company is called Cry Havoc Tactical. They have a special locking system that you're able to remove the barrel from the receiver and kind of take it all apart and put it in 3 pieces within 60 seconds, toolless, which is also kind of important. And they're just, if they have to eject in enemy territory or something like that, now they're carrying this M4 variant that breaks down super small, super compact, that they can assemble pretty quickly. Zeke, I'll start with you. Thoughts?
I think it sounds cool. I mean, if you want me to simplify it, I mean, it just sounds cool. There's not much else you can say besides what you already said.
I kind of agree. Now, I have seen these takedown, like the Dolos is one, I believe, and I've seen these kind of all over the
Frontier
place.
Tactical.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't kind of get it, but this is the first time that I was like, this is a use case that makes a lot of sense. Marty?
So it makes sense on what they're trying to accomplish, but it doesn't make sense going this route and what they're doing, because all you got to do is pop the top, and then it's compact. So I'm looking at what they're doing. You get the same size, you get the same compactness of just taking the upper off, and it's 2 or 3 seconds to do that. Now the handle does fold. It kind of reminds me of that Glock. What are those guys that do that Glock that folds up?
Ideal conceal or something like that?
No, it's something else.
Full conceal?
Full conceal, yeah, full conceal. As far as that goes, but the purpose that I see for this system is to be able to go to multiple calibers quickly and easily, and then have it stored compactly in a backpack or something like that. But they could have easily done some other platforms. You're sitting there with a cool one right now. That would be pretty cool.
A bullpup Scorpion?
Yeah,
that would be okay.
With a suppressor, huh?
That would be all right. That would be fine.
That'd be pretty kick ass. But I like the fact that they are giving our pilots more firepower for when they do find themselves in sticky situations, other than just those crappy Berettas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like throwing pebbles at.
Yeah.
Alex Vogel nailed it. He said, this system reminds me of the pilot's guns and Starship Troopers.
Yep.
Starship Troopers.
I love it. So, Marty, you're actually right. Why not just pop the pins, 2 pins, and pull the receiver?
It is. If you look at it side by side, and then the compactness that they're doing, and the grip doesn't really do anything other than, give it some stuff. And pop-up sights, we've always had those, so that's nothing new. No new technology there. But the fact that they are better arming our men and women, I like that. Definitely. Yes.
Good stuff. Next story. California parents rally for teachers suspended over having a gun in school. This is a person with a concealed carry permit. The school does not allow him to have a firearm on school grounds or anything like that. I don't know if someone reported him. It wasn't 100% clear, but the police went in, found a locked file cabinet that had the firearm in it. He was suspended. The students said, forget about it. They had a rally for him, said he keeps his students engaged. He tells it like it is. He's not afraid to treat you like an adult, even though a lot of adults don't treat you like that. The teacher's not speaking. I don't know. He broke the rules and is paying a bit of a price, and I'm sure that it'll all come out okay for him in the end. Even if he loses his job, he's not going to jail or anything like that. But Zeke, I'll start with you. Thoughts here?
That's the one that all of us who have our carry permit are constantly in a battle with our own conscience with. Because if I drive through Chicago, I want to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be armed. But what do? I'm also scared because I have to provide for my family. I have to be around. I can't be in jail.
Yes.
So it's one of those, a lot of us will say, well, concealed's concealed. If they don't know, it won't hurt them. But, stuff like that. But it's hard because we're all defenders of the Constitution, which is the rule of law in our country. And there are laws within each state. And if he broke it, while it's a stupid law,
is it a law or school policy?
School policy.
Oh,
So
it's just
not
a
even
school
law.
policy?
It's not even law.
Oh, well, then, yeah. I mean, I don't know
It's
enough
like
about
no carrying in a restaurant. You know, the restaurants that have that don't carry. What do we
Yeah.
do? We carry. They never know we're carrying.
Which the funny thing in Tennessee, it's hilarious, and I may screw this up for every restaurant in Tennessee. The state law of Tennessee, it has to be eye level. You know, that sign has to be eye level. So a lot of these corporate stores
And down low.
that know that they're in the South and know that they tick off a lot of customers, they'll slap it down on the bottom of the door, knowing it makes it an illegal sign, but it still abides by their corporate policy.
Yeah.
As far as the school goes, I mean, then we're back into private business. Well, it's not private business, but we're into.
Some of them are.
Yeah, is it a private school or is it a public school? Did it say?
It doesn't say. I think it's a public school.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, Marty.
Well, wouldn't the school policy be law if it's a public school?
No.
Man, I don't know.
No, policy's not law in a school. I mean, policy is a policy. It's not a law.
Like in Colorado,
So-
we specifically have a law about having a firearm in school grounds, but
Here's my take on it.
Yep.
I think we need more individuals like this guy to be martyrs. I mean, he may lose his job over this, and he may not, ever get a job in the teaching field again. I don't know his situation, but we need more people. The more people that stand up to this ludicrous policy that they have in schools, and maybe even some laws in some areas, that's how you get things changed, by people standing up and defying that which does not make sense. So more power to this guy. Hopefully, one of these 2A companies will step up and give this guy a job. I would. I can't afford him, but I'd be glad to hire him on Talking Lead and do some editing for me or something like that. But
he's the teacher.
Can I throw a commentary in there?
I can't pay him.
And it's going to stray, but it's going to kind of like sound like I'm venting, but I'm just making a comment. Our industry as a whole needs to learn to do what Marty just said and support people that make a stance, that support people that do stuff like this. If this guy is going out on a limb and, putting himself out to be a martyr for the cause, and he does it and everybody just goes, yay, good job. And then he loses his job. He's screwed. What if he's got 3 kids at home that are all under 10?
Mm-hmm.
That's where our industry needs to step up and support. Just because there's no, and I say this all the time, just because there's no legislation attached to it doesn't mean you can just go, hey, that's cool, good luck with that. I like what you're doing. And then you never watch This Week in Guns. You never listen to Talking Lead. But you'll see them in public. You'll be like, hey, man, Talking Lead, great, love what you're doing. You ask them, hey, what'd you think about the last? Oh, I don't really listen.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where a lot of us are going out there and we're taking a stance, whether it be on the Discovery Channel or be on podcast or be on YouTube or wherever, and we're putting our neck on the line for this cause. But then a lot of our industry just kind of sits back and goes, thumbs up, but not actually support it.
Hollow support.
But then I'll go to Kroger and I'll hear 3 people say, hey, man, did you listen to Joe Rogan last night? No, I never heard it, but I'm going to download it now. Stuff like that. When you're out in public and you meet somebody that's a fan of guns, hey, did you check out This Week in Guns last week? Technically, it would be Last Week in Guns, but did you check it out?
Right. That's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
No, it's excellent stuff, guys. I will say that I'm pretty excited about the next story. Arizona legalizes nunchucks, and I have some nunchucks right here.
Sweet.
Oh, God. We should outlaw nunchucks. That's how gun control sounds to me. But yeah, Arizona legalizes nunchucks. The governor signed bill legislation. And actually, I think other places have had this, because I literally bought these nunchucks off of Amazon the last time that I heard a story where they were legalized somewhere. It was Jersey or New York, I think. And I think that's cool. I mean, that seems like a really ridiculous thing to have outlawed. I don't even know why they would. Marty, I'll start with you. Thoughts on nunchucks?
I think Bruce Lee is the reason why nunchucks were outlawed.
I think you're right, actually. I mean, there's really no reason. Like, you never really
None whatsoever. And nobody I've ever seen has been able to use them without hitting themselves in the nuts or in the head.
And I think that's the exact reason why they legalized them. It's population control.
It's population control. I know when I was in high school, I was into the big Bruce Lee movies and all that, and I got a pair of nunchucks, and it was the training kind. They had the rubber.
That's the
foamies.
They had the fun, but it still had a hard core in the middle of these that I had, but it had a little foam. It was supposed to protect you. It still hurt like a mofo.
Yeah.
When you hit it. But I took those to school. I had them in school and carried them around with me. I don't know if they were legal or not back then. That's been 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't think, are they legal in Tennessee or illegal in Tennessee?
Yep.
They are? Okay.
They're legal or illegal?
Legal. I've seen them in gun shows and stuff all the time.
Yeah. So I actually, I was like maybe 14 and I was like, I want some nunchucks. My dad literally didn't even buy me trainers. He bought me like hard wood nunchucks with like ball bearings.
Like, you're going to do it right, son.
Yeah. Oh man, I tore.
You ain't doing it at all.
Yeah. I love nunchucks. They were fun when I was a teenager, and now we just basically hurt ourselves with them. Zeke, pro or anti nunchuck?
Absolutely pro. I've actually got a good friend that he runs the McDojo Life Instagram page. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it, but he exposes like fake martial artists that are like ripping people off and saying, "Oh, you can do a chi knockout by air." But he also is an amazing nunchuck artist, and he's actually wanting to try to set up something with the Guinness Book of World Records for the nunchuck world record. Speed or something, I don't know.
That's so awesome.
But he's pretty talented.
It's like juggling to me. I mean, I've never seen it as a weapon. I've just seen it as a distraction. Yeah.
I mean,
this guy over here beat your ass.
I'm gonna tell you this, man. If I like roll into a dark alley and some dude like breaks out some nunchucks and starts doing a kata or something, I am running as fast as I can out of there. Like, this is a person who clearly has no F's left to give. He's got nothing left to lose. Out of there. So congrats, Arizona. Less nunchucky. Brazil sees a 25% decline in murder with more relaxed gun laws. This article comes to us from AMOland. During the first 2 months of President Bolsonaro's term, the Brazilian murder rate fell by 25%. Is this correlation or causation? It's always impossible to tell. And did his reform policies in favor of self-defense cause the drop in murder rates?
And did they change their laws on reporting murders and this
exactly.
It doesn't constitute? There's all kinds of factors that come into play there.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. But
and was the Olympics in town? And
right, yeah. I mean, there's so many factors that go into this, but they are touting it as a success. But listen, Brazil was like a very, very crime-ridden place to be.
Still is.
Homicides were ridiculous and crazy. But the fact that the president has come in and ran on a platform of basically allowing more private ownership of firearms and wants to put laws in place to reform Brazil's gun laws, like That's a fantastic thing. And that is the head of that country, the president of that country, who has come in and said, listen, like, it's out of control. He's like Hector Mountain Dew Camacho in why am I drawing a blank? Idiocracy. He's like, I know everything's messed up and we don't have no burrito covers and whatnot, but like, look, he wants to put
drink Bronto.
Exactly. He wants to put guns in the hand of the citizens that are being murdered every single day. And I
give him a fighting chance.
Yeah. Like, critically thinking, like the three of us, clearly we think, yeah, more guns is going to equal more security. I'm very curious to see where this goes. Marty, why don't you start us off on this one with your thoughts?
I was kind of chiming in as you were talking there. Again, it's great that he's saying this, but again, what are his motivating factors? Their tourism's probably been down quite a bit. So again, are they skewing these numbers? Is it actually, getting safer there? To what extent have they rolled out these new gun laws, these new gun policies? What are gun sales? I want to see what gun sales have gun sales risen. So I mean, you got to verify these stats. So I take everything with a grain of salt. But I think we've seen it here in America, and we know that the gun restriction, gun grabbers, these states like Chicago, it speaks for themselves. The more that they try to take the guns out of the good guys' hands, the worse the crime gets.
Yeah. Zeke, what do you think? Zeke?
He's stoic right now.
I think he's frozen. I'm
Wait,
so confused.
no, wait. I heard Zeke. What do you? And then you went.
No. What do you think about Brazil?
I think it's insane that their murder rate's so high because it's a country full of beautiful people.
They wear bikinis well, don't they?
Yes, it's like how would you be so angry to just have lots of murder there? I don't know.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, like, I think all of us agree. I think everyone listening to this, it's definitely echo chamber preaching to the choir type situation. But man, yeah, I think more guns makes criminals hesitate maybe just a little bit. And we see it all over the place. Anyway, I do want to visit Brazil, so I hope they get it figured out at some point.
Well,
I gotta ask real
25%
quick,
decline.
Jacob, have you listened to the AK corner yet? That's all I'm gonna say.
Is there nunchucks?
I think there's something a lot better for him waiting.
I love it.
Oh, really?
That's awesome. All right. So next story, Florida woman's purse falls off the counter and shoots her husband in the shin. So she's like, she wakes up in the morning and she's like, I'm going to go to Publix and I'm going to shoot my husband. No, I don't think that's actually what happened. So they went to Publix. They're standing in line at the checkout. She's a concealed carry permit holder and she somehow drops the gun out of her purse. It looked like it was like a 2-shot Derringer, as far as I remember reading the article earlier. And it discharges, hitting her husband in the shin. And Zeke, I'm going to start off with you. What do you have to say to A, this woman, and just B, about this story?
That's about it. No. So back to something Marty said earlier. A lot of people will take their concealed carry permit course and they think, I'm ready to take on the world. Well, there's a lot more that sometimes doesn't get taught in these courses. And one of those things is proper retention, proper holstering. I guarantee you, if she had a good holster that was somehow attached to the wall and had good retention, and if you're putting it in your purse where it's jangling around with everything, you probably want something with a strap like the cops have to use just in case. But yeah, that's a negligent. Charge. There's no accident to that crap. That she probably had it in there, and a pin slid between the trigger guard, and when she dropped it, that pin, just happened to hit her keys, and the keys pushed the pin up, and boom, shot him in the hip.
Easy long. I think she did it because her husband told her the ending of Game of Thrones.
So that Rocket Raccoon dies in game.
What?
No, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
Spoiler alerts.
But yes, if you keep it in your purse or your pocket or a jacket pocket, put it in a holster. Like that, it's a law that I will not, a personal law that I will not disobey.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with pocket carrying, especially in the summer when it's hot and you don't want to have a belt on. You want to carry around a Glock 43, but you can get a holster that covers the trigger guard. And
there's actually just little trigger guards that you can put on there.
Yeah, true.
Lots of things you can do.
Oh man, this next one, 21-year-old Georgia woman charged with murder for killing a man that hit her car. So this guy hits her car, he takes off. She gets out after him and follows him. He stops at some point. She gets out and blocks him in with her car. She exits her car and starts to confront this man in his car. A struggle ensues. She employs a firearm. The struggle continues to ensue. The gun goes off. The man dies, and now she is charged with murder. Murder without malice is the exact charge. Her last name is Payne, Payne, and this news station, WSB TV Atlanta 2, put in the fourth line in the story says, Payne had a pained look on her face when she heard about the charge. Okay. That's great. Really well done there, guys. But yeah, right after the gun went off, she literally said, and I believe someone recorded or at least reported it as a witness, that he grabbed the trigger. Oh man, there's so much wrong with this. This is the George Zimmerman protocol, in my opinion. You do all these things that lead to this thing where you may have been in the right, but ultimately it's kind of a disaster. Whoever wants to start, you guys pick.
She should have just walked away.
Yeah, like not even. I'd like get the license plate, follow him to get the license plate, whatever you need to do, and then stop.
Hey, what kind of car was it?
I don't know, probably like a Prius.
If it's a Prius, then yeah, murder. But I mean, if it was like a a Roush Ford, souped up 250, I'm kidding, by the way.
Clearly. No, it's exactly. But yeah, like don't follow like George Zimmerman when he employed lethal self-defense because he was getting his head pounded into the sidewalk and someone was over him and had the advantage over him. That's clearly he had fear for his life. There was ability, opportunity, jeopardy. But the problem is everything he did leading up to that point. That's why we know
instigated.
Yes. And this is exactly that thing. And man, it's just, yeah, I don't know. You guys have anything more to say, or is it just a horrible situation?
Walk away.
Walk away. Go back to what you were saying about instigating things. If she gets away with this, then anybody who is a sick and twisted sociopath that wants to kill people can just come up to me, you, or Sean and start going, "Hey, you're a jerk. I hate you." I want to cuss, but I know I'm not supposed to do that on this show. And saying all kinds of horrible things, instigating, pushing us. And then when finally we snap and when we punch them, "Oh, I'm in fear for my life." Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I'm okay. But you can't do that. That's bleepy.
Yeah, I know. But look, I mean, here's the thing. So this is the situation. And, whenever we talk about stories like this, I always talk about Second Call Defense, who is one of our sponsors. And, when you have to pull a trigger in a self-defense situation, like I bet right now she's wishing that she had self-defense insurance. Clearly she thought that she was in the right. Clearly the situation escalated beyond her control. But I bet she really wishes that she had a really good attorney right now. And, good, bad, right, or wrong, whatever she did, if she did, she'd probably be there with a good attorney who could at least, try to minimize the damage to her life and have it all paid for up front. Anyway, go check out Second Call Defense, firearmsradio.tv/SCD. And people, like, don't inject yourself into a situation where it could end with lethal force. Now, speaking of Priuses, high-speed gun battle and chase with a Prius in Los Angeles. The Prius is interesting, but the rhino cannon that the guy is shooting out of the window. So there's this Prius going down the speedway. This guy gets out and turns around, and he has like a huge revolver. From a helicopter, it looks like a 10-inch barrel. It's ridiculous.
Is it a revolver or is it a semi?
It looked like a revolver in the video, and I think I remember reading in the article that it was a large caliber revolver as well. So homeboy riding in a Prius, shooting out the window at cops behind him with a huge revolver. Like, I mean, the barrel looked like these nunchucks.
I thought it was like a Desert Eagle or something that he was using.
I mean, it could be, but it was like a huge, ridiculous.
Yeah, it was bigger than the Prius almost.
It really was. Eventually they stopped, took him into custody. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, this girl that drives a Prius, she lives in the neighborhood and she's a good girl." And just, yeah.
They were saying maybe this will teach her a lesson and she'll get on the good path now. And she was basically accessory to murder or attempted murder. This dude that they were chasing killed a convenience store clerk like days prior.
Wow.
So they identified him. They found him. He got in the car with this chick. I don't know if his girlfriend or what, but they were making a run for it on the busy interstates there, shooting, cops and other pedestrian vehicles.
Yeah.
Just no regard for other people's safety or lives.
Yeah.
She needs to go to jail for a long time.
Well, she has definitely been. Yeah, she's been arrested and charged with aiding and abetting and all kinds of other stuff as well. Zeke, what struck you as the weirdest? The Prius, the revolver? Like, I don't know. The whole thing is weird.
I'm just glad that no matter what happened, we helped save the environment during that chase.
Yes, there was like literally gas grass, or, well, I can't say that on this show, but clearly they took
even though, I mean, let's forget the fact that the batteries that are in the Prius like hurt the environment way more than the actual car emissions, but the emissions themselves were cut down. So.
Yes, absolutely true.
Well, that's how they were able to evade the police for so long, because of the gas mileage they were getting.
The police had to stop and gas up a couple times.
Right? Had to fly in a helicopter and gas up.
Let's see. We've got a few more stories, so we'll kind of just push through these a little bit quickly because we have talked
These
about.
are fun. Don't push.
There's a lot of them we talked about previously that just a little bit of updates. This one, Wayne LaPierre and the NRA come under more scrutiny as damaging documents are leaked. 2 NRA board members have called for house cleaning within the organization. So apparently some anonymous internet files showed up, and it's a lot of internal memos and things like that that are pretty eye-opening. I've had the opportunity to see them. In fact, on my other show, We Like Shooting, we recorded an entire timeline about these documents and an hour-long episode about all the kind of craziness and what we see as corruption that's going on internally and with Wayne LaPierre. And we are demanding that he step down and be replaced with someone who is not an insider, not part of the problem. So Willis Lee, part of the problem without question, and should not replace Wayne LaPierre. They all need to go away. But yeah, lots of stuff there. And then
one of our famous podcasting friends was quoted somewhere about saying something, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, that dude. I don't know. He's on one of the shows, but he was quoted in the Wall Street Journal as saying it's time for leadership of the NRA to step down.
I'm talking about the host of This Week in Guns.
I have a statement, and honey, can you bring me a glass of tea so I can sip it while I make this statement?
Yeah, put the pinky out.
Years and years ago, me and Left Hand were sitting around in my bonus room with studio equipment, and we had the conversation stating that Ackerman McQueen would be the death of the NRA. So just saying, don't know what episode it is, probably like 13 or 14 or some crap like that. But yeah, it was because basically, I'll be honest. Back then, it wasn't like we had insider information or anything. It was we were more pissed off because we wanted to do some stuff with the NRA, as a podcast, and
Bitterness.
McQueen shut us down. But yeah, the way they handled it was not exactly, cordial and business-like. So we were both like, not a fan.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. There's a lot of interesting documents there.
I just don't have the name.
I think that they need to. I think that Wayne LaPierre.
Let's keep interrupting Sean so he has to
Charles Cotton, Carolyn Meadows, all need to go. All insiders, all part of the problem. They need to be gone. Two board members have stepped forward and really put they put it on the line. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, former congressman, former lieutenant colonel, and Timothy Knight, also a board of directors member for at least 4 years, I think now. They came forward and said, look, LaPierre needs to step down. We need to clean house. We need to get rid of the corruption. And man, good on those 2 guys. Like if you see those 2 guys, buy them a beer. And we need more board members to step out. And I have a feeling that there are people kind of listening to the new media type people now. And if you hear this voice and you're an NRA board member, you gotta step out. Cause honestly, like it has to change. It's a membership organization. We demand change. I demand a strong NRA for me, my children, my grandchildren, and other generations that come through. Plain and simple, without question.
Well, I think we still need some of the experience from some of the people that are there, because I don't think all of them are that corrupt. I think some of them are still, and once you get rid of those corrupt few that are influenced the others,
I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just, it needs to clean house, but I think there still needs to be some people left behind that. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Which is why I'm not demanding the resignation of Chris Cox. I think he leads the ILA gloriously. I mentioned very specific people who are Wayne LaPierre fanboys and think that he can do no wrong. And I'm sorry, but it is time for him to, as a leader, take responsibility for the state of the organization, for the things that they have allowed to happen. And, reading all that information that came out in the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Daily Beast, and everything else, it's pretty condemning, I think. And it is time for them to step down. And anyone who supports Wayne LaPierre right now, I think that they have to go. They are part of the problem. And that same personal enrichment and corrupt stuff that we have going on, that we're seeing in these documents, that we're seeing on all these news stories, it is part of the problem. And the people that I mentioned by name are all part of that problem.
What do you think about another organization being bolstered to the level that NRA is, to be able to have a system of not necessarily checks and balances, but when you have an organization that is that powerful and has been that powerful for so long, you need another organization to come along to give people options to keep them in check so that they don't go so one-sided on things.
Yeah, I mean, we have checks and balances in the NRA bylaws, which unfortunately I've been reading.
Well, I'm talking about a whole other organization.
Yeah.
a whole
You're
other,
talking about competition.
yeah,
Competition
for lack of
being
a better
better.
term, yeah, competition.
Yeah. And like the 2A org, I really like them, and I'll explain why after I say my issues with the NRA. I think part of what we were talking about earlier with our industry and people that are in and around and are fans of the firearms industry not supporting stuff unless there's legislation attached to it, it has been propagated by the NRA and Ackerman McQueen. Because out of the group of us three, how many of y'all have talked to someone who's anti-gun, one-on-one, spoke to them logically, took them to the range, and now they're gun owners? Probably all three of us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really hang out with anti-gun people. No, I'm just kidding.
But I mean, it's simple because logic and science wins out if you're one-on-one. You can't fight the mob mentality. If the NRA took the millions of dollars they spend on call centers, calling us, who already support them, and created an education program for people who are on the fence. Yeah, I get the mob mentality. The extreme anti-gunners are never going to take that education program. But offer it out there and say, here is the science. Here are the stats. By the way, you get to go to a gun range and shoot a box of rounds one day and see that it's not this scary inanimate object that kills everybody. Guess what happens? Then all of a sudden those people convert to being pro-gun. Well, herein lies the problem. The NRA is an organization that makes money. The way they make money is people being afraid of losing their rights. So if they created an education program that was good enough to do that, and we start getting more and more people coming around to reason and logic and science,
wouldn't need them.
There's nobody to fight anymore. And if there's nobody to fight, what's the need to donate money anymore? And that's the thing that makes me sick. And the reason that I'm so ticked off at the Ackerman McQueen group is because they have taken this hard line of turning gun rights into a right-wing issue. And it's not. It's not a right-wing issue. It is an American issue. We all have the right to own firearms. I have friends that are staunch Democrats, and they have arsenals in the basement, but they can't talk to their Democrat friends about it because they think it's like, oh, well, this is a right-wing, left-wing thing. And a lot of that has been from Ackerman McQueen. People that support legalizing marijuana. You know, a lot of those people are pro-gun. Just watch some of the documentaries about Humboldt County in freaking California. They're armed to the teeth. And they are very Second Amendment friendly. But Ackerman McQueen took that hard line of, jokes are by Ed and Kay, and, they don't benefit anybody. And that became a part of the NRA's rhetoric. That's why I like the Second Amendment organization, because guess what they're about? The freaking Second Amendment. That's it. If you're gay, you're straight. If you're liberal, if you're conservative,
Muslim,
if you're whatever,
Christian,
Muslim, Christian, whatever, they're like, this is about the Second Amendment. That's it. I get it. There are a lot of people I don't agree with politically. But if we can agree on the Second Amendment, I can talk to them and have a conversation, and we'll argue the rest of the stuff. God, it's so hard not to cuss. We'll argue the rest of the stuff after our Second Amendment is secured. But put all that aside, realize that there are people that are pro-gun in other worlds that you may not agree with, and try to embrace them for the moment while we battle for our Second Amendment rights. Once it's in place, boom, hey, we're all happy. We run in like the Wizard of Oz. Or they trotted. No, they skipped. Dang.
Same thing. It's fine. One of the best things that I've seen personally in my life is myself and Jeremy Posderick from We Like Shooting, and he is an ogre of a human being, 6'7", built like Zeke, Marty, he's just ridiculous and he's scary. We were at a bar in Nashville at NRA maybe a couple of years ago, and we had kind of befriended a bunch of girls who were there for a bachelorette party, and we're having fun and having drinks and just goofing off and doing our thing. And they asked why we were there, and we were like, yeah, we're here for NRA, we're gun people and all that stuff. And they were all anti-gun because they were from Canada. And one of the girls said, just why does anyone need a gun? This is just, the guns are so stupid, and why does anyone need a gun? And Jeremy, imposing ogre that he is, he steps right into her personal space, like her nose on his diaphragm, on his sternum, at the bottom of the sternum, and he says, because if I decided to rape you, you couldn't stop me. And I
Oh my
saw
God.
the light switch in her head where she instantly became completely pro gun because it was and it was good. I mean, like we had fun and
It's a scary way to become pro gun.
yes. But she instantly got it. Like I think
She became pro castration at that point.
she became very anti-America and immediately flew back to Canada. But
Yeah.
it was an interesting thing, and the disparity of forces is a huge big deal. Anyway, that's enough about the NRA. We'll report back on it later. We've got time for a couple more stories. One that Marty said he wanted to talk about was Appalachian Trail, or what is the one hiker dead in Appalachian Trail machete attack. So
One hicker?
yeah,
What's a hicker?
did I say hicker? I meant hiker.
Yeah, so I didn't read that one. I wanted you to tell me about it.
That's fine. I read all about it. So he was basically hikers reported a man was attacking people on the trail, and he had apparently been very belligerent to people on the trail before, and eventually attacked a couple people with a machete. One died, and one had to go to the hospital with critical injuries. This guy's been arrested, like 30 years old, just a nutcase, pretty much, like screaming into a trash can type guy.
Okay, so that's what it turned out to be. He's mentally unstable.
Yeah, I believe so. A 30-year-old guy. But the reason that I wanted to talk about this story, because when I go hiking, I always carry a firearm and I always carry a medical kit. And like, look, the chances of someone attacking me with a machete on a hiking trip or something like that probably pretty remote. But would the person have died if they could have defended themselves? Would the person have died if they could render medical aid and do it? So it kind of raised a lot of what ifs for me, which is one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it. And Zeke, I'll start with you.
What part of the Appalachian Trail was it?
Let's see. This is coming to
Because in Tennessee, you can carry in state parks now.
Virginia State Police.
So it's Virginia. Yeah. So I don't know what their laws are, but we have part of the Appalachian Trail here. I mean, here's my thing. Most of us who carry are somewhat, I'm not saying preppers to the level of like the doomsday preppers on TV, but we're preppers as in Boy Scouts. Be prepared. If you're going to go hike the Appalachian Trail, guess what? There's bears.
Yeah.
And bears don't often eat people, but when they do, it's because they're bears and people are things. So carry a gun. You're not going to take down a bear with a pocket knife. I'm not saying this person died because they didn't have a gun. I'm just saying, that's odd for a big national park hiking trail type thing to not allow you to carry in a place where there's lots of animals that want to eat you.
Yeah, I carry when I hike, period. Like, and for animals of both the human and the animal kingdom, forget it, man. Marty, what about you? Do you hike? Do you carry?
Yeah, absolutely. And just for the reason in a park, I mean, because you're more mindful of creatures that are out there other than psychotic serial killers, with machetes. It's something like that. I mean, the guy's hiding behind the bush and I'm walking by and he jumps out with a machete. He's going to chop me. I'm going to get chopped, but maybe I get chopped once, maybe I only get chopped twice if I've got my firearm and I'm able to defend myself.
Yeah.
But more so, like Zeke said, it's more for the wildlife, the animals that are out there that could eat me.
I'm with you guys. All
right.
Zeke,
eat me.
See, it's fine because that's
Sasquatch.
Last story: New York senator and presidential wannabe calls for gun bans if elected. This is a person named Karen Gillibrand, whatever. I don't know what her name is. I don't really care to learn it. But anyway, she said, no, I think there's a better approach than a federal firearm licensing system. She said, to end gun violence, I would do three things. I would, number one, pass universal background checks, which are common sense and supported by 70% of America. Her second move would be federal law against trafficking guns, because for cities like Newark, New Jersey, and cities like New York City, the guns are trafficked from out of state into the hands of criminals, and those networks aren't even a federal crime. And third, I would ban the bump stocks, the large magazines, and the military-style assault weapons. Also said she would ensure more support for mental health in an effort to prevent mass shootings. So, number one.
Didn't she just say all stuff that's already been done?
It's so funny. Zeke, what do you think? Is she onto something?
I pass.
Right?
What the hell?
Idiot.
Is she?
You
is
know
she
what?
running for
I'm
Queen?
gonna announce I'm gonna announce myself running for office, and I'm going to put in more laws for making murder illegal. I'm also going to put in laws for robbery and theft now being illegal.
Speeding?
Speeding will be illegal. Anything that's illegal, I'm going to make it more illegal.
Double illegal.
Double illegal.
Vote Zeke.
Yeah.
And you're going to do that without putting it through our proper voting systems, and
Executive.
you're just going to make it happen, right?
Yeah, because I mean that's all politicians do is make a lot of promises that never actually
That they can't follow through with.
Yeah. Marty, what do you think?
If it gets people worked up.
I know.
No, what does she look like?
I did not see a picture. she might be cute. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's dumb though, and I don't find that sexy.
No.
But let's talk about universal background checks. We have them in Colorado for 5-6 years now, and literally, I think only one person has actually had it added or maybe one or two people has had it added on as add-on charges. No one successfully prosecuted on it. Doesn't do any good because criminals are going to crime, and that doesn't change anything. And then federal law against trafficking. Yeah, federal law against trafficking guns. Okay, cool. First off, they're already breaking the law, and another law is going to stop them. It's so dumb. And third, she wants to ban everything that's cool in the universe. Whatever. She's dumb.
You know, all you have to do to get elected is take a stance on abortion, either way, take a stance on gun rights, either way, and pick a religion, any of them, and you'll get elected. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And don't forget this isn't Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or whatever from New York as well. And she literally just posted on Twitter or a blog or something the other day that she was fascinated by garbage disposal. Like, get the out of here.
Garbage disposal.
It's so ridiculous. I do that. I wish I could make that up. That's
She thought it was an angry badger under her sink this whole time.
It's not.
It's not. All right, that's gonna do for our time tonight, guys. But before we go, Marty, I'll start off with you. Where can people find you and keep up with Talking Lead and everything that you're doing?
Talking Lead, just at Talking Lead on Facebook, Instagram, Tweeters. We're on iTunes, iHeartRadio, all the podcasting apps. We've got our 300th episode coming up, and we're going to do some celebrating. Probably going to do one of these live here things with probably Zeke and probably Sean and some other people who've been a big part in Talking Lead's longevity, I'll call it. 7 years this December.
Awesome.
So we got that. The AK Corner is going to be continuing for another 12 episodes. I just posted part 11 of our first run of that series today, and we gave away another AK, and I think I handed to who may have won that.
That is so awesome.
So we've got one more to give away for that series, and then we're going to continue it again. Don't know if we're going to continue the every episode giveaway, but there will be awesome giveaways for that. And then for our 300th, we're going to celebrate with some awesome giveaways. Probably be some guns involved with that as well.
Woo, love it. Talking Lead everywhere. Now, Zeke, unemployment office, best place to find you, or
you can just go to the back of the line because I keep getting pushed because I'm a little guy. No, still doing Projectile Dysfunction with Vanessa Boyer. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, all the podcasty thingy majiggies. Speaking of which, Sean, I'm talking to the people who took us from the radio to the podcast, and we may be able to throw it on here with you guys too, by the way. Yeah, they're looking through the contract thing. But Projectile Dysfunction, that's DYS. I found out that a lot of people were like, I can't find it, and they were spelling it DIS. I am officially, I guess I can't announce the company yet because they're not announcing it till tomorrow. I'm officially leaving the firearms industry after 7 years.
What?
Not technically, because Projectile Dysfunction will kind of have me in there, but I'm going into the motorcycle industry in the marketing realm. All right. In the marketing realm. And I start tomorrow.
Harley?
I can't say where, how, or what, or when, or
Yamaha?
I have a Harley. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be cool. Cool Springs. Oh, Cool Springs Harley. Isn't that Moonshine Harley now? They changed the name, I think.
I don't know. I always known it as Cool Springs. So.
All right, that's awesome. So projectile dysfunction in iTunes, talking lead everywhere.
Yeah.
Isn't that what I said?
Both of them everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's what I said. They're everywhere. Zeke, Marty, love you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. This Week in Guns is produced by Kenny Ortega and is a production of the Firearms.
Thank you, Kenny.
Network. Yeah, love you, Kenny.
Thank you, Kenny.
Okay, now everyone dance.
Damn it, they killed Kenny.
Kenny's dead? I just got an email from him.
I don't know. He might be now.
Are you doing the Night at the Roxbury?